Okay, so I'm back. Now, like I was saying in part one, I worked in the kitchen, so I would hear when the doorbell would ring. And every time the doorbell would ring, I would run and get myself all dolled up and, whew, it's a man at the door. The man would go out there and he would talk to Daddy. Him and Daddy would have their business together, talk or whatever it was. And when the man was gone, sometimes these men took one of my sisters with him. Sometimes they didn't. Sometimes they did. But I would go running to Daddy. For the ones that didn't take a sister with him on his way out, I'd run to Daddy. Oh, Daddy, was that man here for me? Was that the man? Was that the man, Daddy? And he would say, no, daughter, that man is not for you. Simple as that. That man is not for you. Now, I would go back to the kitchen heartbroken. So, I would start fixing myself up, making sure my hair was right, make sure everything was just the way I thought it should be, just the way I thought a man would like it. So the next time a man came to the house, I would be the one that he was coming to get. But over the years, time and time again, that man was not there for me. Now, I did this for many years, you guys, and it was hard. Every single time I'd have to go back in that kitchen or go back upstairs or go back to whatever it was that I was doing in the house that day, after finding out that this man wasn't there for me, it was hard. But now, there was some times when Daddy would say, Skywalker, come sit here on Daddy's lap. Daddy want to tell you some things. Because, see, Daddy knows that there are some things that we need to be able to do. There are some things that we need to be able to know. There are some jobs that we need to be able to perform in order for us to be a good wife. He know that these things have to take place, so he sit us down. Because, see, Daddy know everything. Daddy know everything about his daughters. So he needs to sit us down, and he says, daughter Skywalker, come here, sit down. Daddy want to teach you some things, tell you some things. And, he would instill in me some things. He had instilled in me some things. But before he could complete his lesson and telling me what it was I need to learn, something would get my attention. Now, he's a good father, okay? He's a loving father. So when he would see that something had gotten our attention, he wouldn't try to fight or compete with that. He would let us go off in search of whatever it was that caught our attention. But see, when I would leave, I would never fully get the message, okay? So I had some ideas. I had some things that I needed to know, but I didn't have it all, okay? Which is why the marriage never came about, because I didn't quite know everything that Daddy wanted me to know before, he brought me together with the husband he had picked out for me. And the same thing for you. He's doing the same thing with us all. So now, every time I would get distracted by something else in the middle, while he was trying to tell me what to do or how to be or what my job was going to be when the husband got there, when I would get distracted, the job would never, what he was trying to instill in me was never completed. So I was never prepared, to be a good wife. And because I was never prepared, he never introduced me to that husband that he had already picked out before I was born. Okay? So you kind of got to see it like that. So now, myself here recently, I was just tired. Okay? I was just tired of running to that door wondering if that man is going to be there for me. I have made up in my mind that I am going to sit down with Daddy and allow Daddy to tell me what it is, the job that I need to do to teach me how to be the wife that I'm going to need to be in order to, to glorify his ministry. Okay? Because it's a ministry. Marriage is a ministry. Marriage is to glorify God, not ourselves. And see, I always thought marriage was going to be for me so that I could, go out here and, be joined onto a person and, have some legal sex and, legal sex, And I thought it was for me to just live the rest of my days being happy and being with my husband. But it's not about me. It's not about you. Okay? Marriage is not about us. It's about God. It's about God's glory. Okay? It's about joining or being joined with the man that he has ordained for us so that we and that man can continue the work of our dad, of daddy. Okay? So now, some sisters, like myself, like I said, worked in the house. And I'm going to backtrack a little. Some sisters worked in the house. Some worked out in the field. Now, the sisters that worked out in the field, I could see them because I could see them from the window. Some of them was working really hard, really good. And they were being blessed because of that. And some were not so much, or whatever have you. Now, I noticed that some of my sisters, and I'm going back to the story, to the analogy, some sisters will bring back this husband, this man, and tell daddy, hey daddy, this is, while I was out in the field, I met so-and-so. And, we got married, so I'm bringing you back because we got married while we was out there. Now, daddy being a good daddy, he said, okay, He looked at that man and said, okay, this is the man you chose to marry. And that's fine with me. Now, you won't quite necessarily be able to do the job that is I wanted you to do with this man because this ain't the man that I picked out for you, but that's fine. I'm going to let you guys go live together and daddy will let them go live together. Now, some of the men that were brought back were just demons, okay? Some of our sisters out there, go out there and they'll find a man that they can bring back to daddy and they can live somewhat happy with him because that man was somewhat likable to daddy. He's somewhat like daddy, okay? And daddy somewhat liked him. And I'm only using this story as an analogy, okay? So follow me now. So now, some sisters, the man that they brought back, to daddy, was like, well, daddy could somewhat work with them because at least they were somewhat respectful of daddy. They weren't, they didn't hate daddy. They didn't know him real well, but they were kind of open to hear some of the things that daddy would say. And them sisters was able to go off with those men. Now, some of the sisters, they bring back these men to daddy, and these men ain't right. These men don't like daddy, don't want to see daddy, don't want the sight of daddy, don't want daddy to say nothing to them, And these sisters go out, with these men. They bring these men back to daddy, and they say, okay, daddy, this is the man I picked out. Now, I noticed that some of these sisters, and I know y'all noticed it too, some of these sisters we would never see again. The reason we wouldn't see them sisters again wasn't because daddy chased them off the property and told them never to come back. We wouldn't see them again because those men that they went out there and got wouldn't allow them to come back to the house. Okay? They wouldn't allow them to come back. So we wouldn't see them. And some of our sisters went out there and picked these men that killed them. Okay? Some of our sisters died spiritually. Some of our sisters died physically at the hands of the man that they went out there and found while they was out there in the field. Now, some of the sisters that would go out here and find these men, it's like, they would come back to the house and they would say, well, daddy, this is the man I picked out, but, and I've been living with this man, but everything is terrible, daddy. He hit on me. He cheats on me. He mistreats our children that I done had for him. He's just a terrible man. And they want daddy to help them with this man. Now, it's like daddy would look at them and say, I want to help you with him, but there's a problem. That man don't like me. I would like to say something to that man, but that man ain't going to hear nothing. I can say something to him, but that man ain't going to hear nothing I got to say. The only way you're going to be good is if you leave that man and come back to me. You're going to have to leave that man and come back to me because I can't fix that man only because that man is not willing to accept my teachings. So, it's like some of them sisters, some of our sisters done went out there and got a man who daddy can't even work with. So they just miserable all together with those men because daddy can't even talk to them men. Daddy can't chastise them men because them men don't want to hear nothing daddy got to say. Now, I'm going to stop it and I'm going to come right back.